Hello everyone, I'm Hsiao. Today I want to talk about slippery slope fallacy. And first, I will give a definition of what is slippery slope fallacy, and then give you one of my personal experience and two other examples of slippery slope fallacy. So first, by definition, slippery slope fallacy occurs when you assume that because one event happened, it will inevitably lead to a chain of events which will land in negative results without providing valid reasons that each step will lead to the next. And here's one of my personal experiences of slippery slope fallacy. And I believe most of you might or might not encounter this kind of experience before. I still remembered when I was in senior high school, my parents insisted that I have to study on the weekends. Because if I don't study on the weekends, my grades will suffer, and if my grades suffer, I will not do well on the college admission exam or something. And if I don't do well on the exam, I cannot get into the top university, and I will finally end up working in a low-paying job in the future for the rest of my life. So what my parents thought is that if I don't study hard on the weekends, I will end up working in a low-paying job in the future. So my personal experience serves a good example of slippery slope fallacy, and let me explain a little bit. Here's the schematic form of a slippery slope fallacy, and as you can see, it's a series of connected conditional claims to the effect that if you assume that A is true, or you allow A to occur, then B will follow, and if B follows, then C will follow, and if C follows, then D will follow, and D is something that's horribly negative. That's all that we all want to avoid. And you can see it's like on a slope, so it will inevitably lead through one by one. It's like on a slope and a slippery slope. So the conclusion is that if we want to avoid D, we need to reject A or will not allow A to occur. For my example, the chain of events looks like this. Now, the argument is obviously weak at every stage of the reasoning. It's possible that not studying on weekends could make a difference to whether the student does well on the college admission exam or not. However, there is no evidence showing that this is likely. For example, one probably studies very hard from Monday to Friday, so there is no need for him to study on the weekends, but he is still able to do well on the exam. Maybe don't do well on the exam, maybe it will affect your chances of getting into a top university. However, the result of exam is just one of the factors that matter. Like for example, the student might already own an athlete, so they may be eligible for non-academic scholarship of various kinds, so they can still attend a top university. The last move from failing to get into a top university to working in a low-paying job in the future or whatever is obviously the weakest link in the chain. This is just widely pessimistic speculation with nothing to support it. Another example of slippery slope fallacy is the argument from Laws, who opposed Loving v. Virginia. Loving v. Virginia was a landmark civil rights decision of the United States Supreme Court, which invalidates laws prohibiting interracial marriage. And Laws who opposed this decision claimed that if the Supreme Court validates the interracial marriage between black and whites now, it will also validate the marriage between human beings and animals in the future. And there is no any reasoning or coherence between these two steps, so it's an example of slippery slope fallacy. Also, Laws who opposed the case of Roe v. Wade serve another example of slippery slope fallacy. Roe v. Wade was another landmark civil rights decision of the United States Supreme Court on the issue of abortion. Los Angeles people claimed that if we passed the case today, the infanticide will be also validated in the near future, and eventually all the killing will be legitimate in the future. Again, there is no valid reasons between those steps, so it's an example of slippery slope fallacy. So that's my video about slippery slope fallacy. Thanks for watching.